And Maddie in the no is really gonna mock me. So let's take a look at it. Idea that the Utah state flag is a hexagonal beehive.
All right, let's try this. Let's really try this, okay? Chronologically. Utah adopts the beehive symbol in 1948. Fast forward 175 years later, people start using bee language as codes.
And I communicate with them by dancing.
People that use the code, they're clearly communists because communists work together. They follow a hive mind. Yes, queen. Underground, communists. Mormons live in Utah. I watched The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I know what's going on here.
They've always been known as the beehive state. And to be clear, it's not because they make honey. It's not because they have a high presence of bees. In fact, in terms of making honey or bee-related products, they rank number 24. It's actually the beehive state. It relates to the Mormon church, the Church of Latter-day Saints. Early Mormon pioneers founded that state, and they liked the idea of a beehive working toward a common good. Now, if that sounds vaguely familiar or communist to you, the idea of worker bees, yes, that's where it's from.
Did the Mormons know that the bees were commies in 1948? Did anybody watch that South Park episode? You know what? None of this matters. Let's get to her conclusion.
It's interesting. It's a vibe. Anyway, wanted to show you that because the Daily Wire continues to exhibit stalker vibes. This is not normal. I am now telling people that Ben Shapiro is my psycho ex-boyfriend because that's what this feels like. None of this is normal. We don't have to pretend this is normal. Nothing that has happened since I have left that company is normal, not how I left the company. And talking trash about me. He sees I moved on. I'm like, okay, I'm just doing my own show here. You don't know, but you know, like, why do you care? Are you good? Are you good? Can you move on? And you're designing shows after me. This is not normal. This is not how employers are supposed to behave. I'm being so serious. There's something about it that's like, and parking aside Maddie, she's just the latest pawn. You know, they just got to find someone who really desperately wants to be famous, stands on a couch, okay, whatever, thinks she's going to be the next it girl. That's fine. This has nothing to do with her, actually. I hope it works out for her. I am speaking about an employer that can't move on. This feels dangerous to me. Like we're getting to a stage of obsession that is dangerous. You have to go create a show that's interesting and compelling that people want to watch, that's not based off of somebody that you fired because you didn't want them anymore. That doesn't track with the public. So I just feel like this is getting very creepy and it's making me uncomfortable. And there should, in fact, be laws to prevent this from happening. There just should be laws that prevent employers from sending interns to stalk you at events, from trying to get you canceled from speaking events, for buying your friends. Like, oh, that's the next step of the crazy ex-boyfriend. I'm going to reach out to everybody you know and offer them money. Yeah, I'm going to pretend I was Charlie's friend. What are you doing? Why? Why are you doing this? Why are you so inside of my life? Please just move on. This is not mentally healthy for you, Ben. I want you to be better. I want you to get better. Seriously. Move on in your life. It's okay. Let go of people that disagree with you. It's okay. Also, leave Megyn Kelly alone because I see you're eyeing her too in a weird way. You seem to be gunning for her now. Let it go. Charlie Kirk's assassination has catalyzed a certain derangement in Ben Shapiro. Ben was not a friend of Charlie Kirk. So the question is, why? Why is he so obsessed with the Charlie Kirk narrative, or rather obsessed with stopping people from prodding that narrative? As soon as he began, like when Charlie was coming up, as soon as Ben began to perceive Charlie as a threat, which is essentially after the Kanye West tweet, the I love the way Candace Owens thinks tweet, Ben got to work behind the scenes trying to complicate and stop Charlie's rise and my rise. These are just the facts and they are indisputable, okay? What happened thereafter is that Charlie and me, we proved to be inevitable, even pulled apart and in our separate ways. We continued to climb, and we did that without stepping on anybody's head. There are no stories, there are no bodies that are hidden of me intentionally harming people to get where I was going. Well, yesterday when we got off air, we received even more tips. The show is cheesy. It's crazy. We've been doing this now for 2 years, but I'm going to explain to you why this is suddenly beginning to feel dangerous to me. When you get to the part where you are coming up with show ideas and casting people as attack dogs that are young and have their whole lives ahead of them and who are talented and can contribute something else, is a gang, an entertainment gang, if you will, that I and Charlie Kirk both unwittingly signed ourselves up for, that allow me to express that I have been getting jumped out for the last 2 years. And Charlie Kirk, well, guess what? To share on this stage is absolute truth.
Out of there. He tried to take over David Horowitz's, who was his mentor. Don't ask me. Ask the guys associated with David Horowitz what he did there. He tried to take that over. And mark my word, he will make a move on Turning Point because he's always been envious of Charlie Kirk.
Fact. He has always been envious of Charlie Kirk. Fact. The story about what he did at Breitbart is a lot darker than anybody. What has he been talking about? Really? Well, publicly, Ben has represented himself as having been mentored by Andrew Breitbart. Ben loved Andrew Breitbart, ostensibly, right? No. Ben's a parasite. He's a worm. I meant that. He sees health and he believes that it belongs to him. His trade is not commentary. It's not politics. It's theft. And in the case of Andrew Breitbart, he behaved like a maggot on a corpse, like he's doing right now with Charlie Kirk. It was March 1st of 2012 when Andrew Breitbart dropped dead from an apparent heart attack. I am saying apparent because it's actually another mysterious political death, which, by the way, in your own time, you should look into that, okay? Because Andrew Breitbart was a powerhouse. He was in his prime, just 43. And suddenly he's starting to step on some toes, saying he has some information. Next thing you know, he's dead. Again, allegedly a heart attack. But something funny happened. A lot of funny things actually happened surrounding his death. The first and foremost utterly corrupt Los Angeles coroner's office conducted an autopsy because people were thinking, was he killed? Can you determine whether or not there was foul play here? But things went a little sideways when a forensic technician that was involved with the autopsy also wound up dead from military-grade arsenic poisoning. I kid you not. His name was Michael Cormier. He was 61 years old. And for whatever reason, he decided after being involved with this autopsy to ingest military-grade arsenic poisoning. And his wife says, no, that's not what, he wouldn't just poison himself with military-grade arsenic poisoning. But who knows, guys? Just weird stuff tends to happen, particularly in Los Angeles. Whether you're talking about Michael Jackson, for those of you who had read Chaos, we know what this is all about. They control everything there. But enough about that, because we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. There's no evidence of foul play ever, according to the media. Ever. It's always a lone gunman, some arsenic poisoning, and heart attack, a well-timed heart attack or whatever. If you haven't yet worked out regarding the media, they're a part of the gang, I think. It's feeling that way. Back to Andrew Breitbart. It's also another coincidence. But just 2 weeks before he died, Andrew hired a then 28-year-old Ben Shapiro to be the editor-at-large of Breitbart. Now, if Ben is to be believed, Andrew had known him since he was just 17 years old. Andrew had mentored Ben, but he didn't hire him to work at Breitbart until he was 28. And then 2 weeks later, Andrew Breitbart drops dead. And what happened next is exactly as Steve Bannon describes. There was an internal war that waged about what the direction of this healthy conservative company would be. Ben felt this company perhaps was also promised to him 3,000 years ago or something, because what happens next is pretty twisted. And to be clear, what I'm about to share with you, it's not innuendo. The story was not told to me from a third party, 3 other people. This story was directly told to me and Charlie Kirk. We were in New Mexico at a corporate retreat, and we heard it straight from the chiefs at Breitbart. Charlie and I were venting about how difficult Ben was making it for us. And a chief shared with us the true story of how Ben started the Daily Wire on Scandal. Do you guys remember Michelle Fields? That story of 2016? If you don't worry, I'm going to remind you. The story goes that Donald Trump was running for president against Hillary Clinton, and he chose Corey Lewandowski to be his campaign manager. And the whole media was against Donald Trump, except for Breitbart. Breitbart, they were going, yeah, that this guy's, he's our guy. And because of that, because they had banked on how people were feeling in this country, because they had banked in the populist movement, they were exploding. They were huge. Anyways, Corey Lewandowski is a campaign manager, and suddenly news breaks that Corey Lewandowski apparently assaulted a reporter that was working at Breitbart, Michelle Fields, at an event. So Michelle Fields comes out and says that this happened. She even shows bruises, right? Do we have the photo of the bruises that this happened to her? Because, oh, that's it. You know, to think about how Trump treats women. And yeah, now we got to look at this organization that she works for, the only conservative organization that's standing behind Donald Trump. Are you still going to stand behind him, Breitbart? Are you still going to, he's assaulted one of your reporters. And they didn't make an immediate comment on it because, well, it was just an allegation that she made, and Ben didn't like that. And now he had this scandal regarding the assault. He didn't like Trump. And now he had the scandal in support of their employee, which was like, this was kind of like Me Too before it became a hashtag the following year. A woman makes an allegation. There's demands for a company to stand behind her. But this particular company wanted to investigate the claims further, not on Ben's watch. So on March 13th, 2016, Ben and Michelle Fields doubly decided that they were going to leave Breitbart in a glorious public statement that they would both make. Ben made a glorious one about the values of Andrew Breitbart, his dear friend, that were now, his values have been violated. We're going to read the statement here. As a close personal friend and mentee of precisely the reverse of what Andrew would have wanted. Steve Bannon and those who follow his lead should be ashamed of themselves. So you get it. He's moral. It's a scandal, but he's moral. And the very next day, he then promotes the Daily Wire. And guess what? It worked. A bunch of people left Breitbart News and stopped watching Breitbart News and followed Daily Wire. This is going to be principled conservatism. They're not going to stand behind bullies, and they're going to stand up for their employees. Get it? Of course, the truth is a very different story. What it really happened, again, told to me first person by the executives over at Breitbart News. What really happened was that Ben had been not happy with the fact that they were not making him the king of Breitbart, had begun quietly building Daily Wire at the end of 2015, but didn't have enough gumption behind it. People were not getting behind the Daily Wire in the way that they anticipated, so they needed a scandal, okay? And they decided to do that. They decided to create a scandal because there was no energy behind it. So he and his best friend, Jamie Weinstein, decided to cook up a scandal. And if you're wondering who Jamie Weinstein is, he's a political journalist. He's a podcaster. At that time, I believe he was working for the National Review, which is Neocon Central. But the more relevant fact that was told to me is that Jamie Weinstein is Michelle Fields' husband. So the public was led to believe that they were drumming up all this controversy because this woman, which was later proved that her bruises could not have been from Corey Lewandowski because the bruises that she showed were not where Corey Lewandowski, when the tape finally got released, where he touched her. By then, the damage had been done to Breitbart. They never recovered, by the way. Breitbart never recovered from this scandal that was allegedly manufactured by Ben Shapiro and his friend Jamie Weinstein to attack at the time, very conservative movement and to turn it into Neocon Central. It's a lot like what it feels we are examining with Turning Point USA right now. Like the person who was at the head of that company, the person that believed in our principles and believed in free speech is now dead, and neocons are staging a hostile takeover of his legacy and of his brand. And I'm saying no to that. I'm saying that this cannot happen. Behind the scenes, I have basically said we need to take real action against him. Nobody should have to go through this. And yeah, they're behaving like a gang. And I'm serious. I'm coming to you guys in earnest when I say that there is something that feels dangerous about this. Like he is growing increasingly more unhinged and more focused on me, more focused on stopping me. And it can't happen. It cannot happen. So I'm not going to allow it to happen. I'm going to tell you guys the truth about what's going on behind the scenes. I have basically said we need to take real action against him. Nobody should have to go through this, whether they are artists in Hollywood. Now I understand why Kanye, after he burned everything to the ground, said to me, I feel like I'm finally free, because it is exactly like leaving a gang that you had no idea you were pledging. Okay. I never wanted to be in a gang in my youth. I certainly never wanted to join a gang as an adult. Charlie Kirk, who is my friend, Ben, never was yours. You know he was never your friend. You know that you never liked him. Stop. What you are doing actually is despicable. At least you can pretend you were Andrew Breitbart's friend. And as the person said to me at Breitbart, you are truly an evil human being, because Andrew loved you and you moved to take food out of his son's mouth by destroying the company that he built. None of this is normal. I want to say that as well. None of this is normal. I want you guys to know that if you wake up today and you decide to quit your job, your employer should not stalk you for 2 years. It shouldn't happen. They shouldn't be following you, chasing you in the courtroom from every infraction, trying to bankrupt you, calling people, reaching out to donors, trying to stop business relationships, getting in the way of sponsorships. None of this is normal, but I am afraid, I believe that this is indeed how the world works. I don't believe that these people that have platforms are smarter than you. Guys, I don't believe that they have better business